And thank you, Taoiseach. You have answered the question that we've posed to you several times today, but just like Deputy Haughey, I too would like to warmly welcome the release of Emily Hand and the information that you have given us this morning about the Irish citizens who have been able to leave Gaza. Can I just ask you again to clarify, Taoiseach, how many Irish citizens remain in Gaza? How many of those wish to leave? And if any, I'm not sure exactly of the precise numbers. And can I ask those who have left, have all of their dependents been able to travel with them? And also, like Deputy Haughey, I do want to commend the unceasing work of the Department of Foreign Affairs. In my small experience, especially at European level, whenever you called on the Department of Foreign Affairs to assist Irish citizens, their efforts, and ministers, whoever they were, their efforts were second to none. And I think that should never be lost in all of this. Lots of other countries looked upon Irish citizens and the value that was placed on them with...
Thank the deputies for their comments, and certainly we convey your compliments to the ambassadors in Tel Aviv and in Cairo and in Ramallah, who are still working hard and have worked very hard, and also our team in headquarters who coordinate it all and have maintained almost daily contact with our citizens. And the deputies have been taken, and as I said earlier, in relation to the release of Emily Hand as a hostage, I think it's the story that's been personal for all of us, and we heard from Tom about the trauma she has suffered. But the individual cases tell, as I said earlier, of a wider truth. No child should be kidnapped, no child's home should be violated, and no child's home should be bombed either. And no child should have to suffer the horror of living in a war zone. And that's why we're pushing very hard for a humanitarian ceasefire. There were 2 children killed in the West Bank overnight, 2 children. It's unacceptable. And a 9-year-old, I think, one. Our position is that it would be unconscionable for this war to resume. As I said earlier, I was reading a report in the New York Times today about the level and scale of the action is unprecedented. It just has to be brought to an end. There's a small number remaining. It's fluid. Some people, believe it or not, come forward very late. Only last week, one citizen has come forward who had not identified themselves for the last 7 weeks. But it's a small number, below 10, and there's some dependents, and as I said, the visa holders as well. But we will work with the authorities to try and... There are some who have not been allowed out, and we're seeking to facilitate their exit.
And Taoiseach, I fully support your statement, and indeed the wishes of this Dáil to see the humanitarian ceasefire extended with the aim to make it permanent. But I too want to extend the question a little bit to the issue of the EU-Israel trade agreement. Now, I put down a question and I got a response from the Department of Enterprise, Trade and Employment, where they tell me that this agreement between Israel and the EU does not apply to territory occupied by Israel in '67. In other words, that this isn't within their remit. However, if you look very carefully at the deal itself, this talks about that Israel must have respect for human rights and democratic principles in both their internal and international policy. So it's very clear that the trade deal requires that. So while, of course, we do need qualified majority, I'm asking, is there any way Ireland can start that discussion?
In terms of Deputy Harkin, the way I'm looking at this, I think you've mentioned QMV, and Deputy Andrews raised this point. There's a divided position within Europe. History plays a big role in this. The German have a view because of the Shoah and Austria likewise. Ireland has a very clear position. Deputy Haughey said, 2-state solution. And Deputy Farr, we want the violence to end. We're in favour of international humanitarian law being applied and UN resolutions being adhered to. That fundamentally is our position. It's very straightforward. A country that has experienced conflict resolution, have experienced terrible war, which should never have happened, which we experienced terrible civilian loss. during that war. So we're very focused on what we want here. The European Union has, on the other side, quadrupled humanitarian aid to 100 million to Palestinians as a result of this conflict. I think there's a need for a European Union-Palestinian Trade Association Agreement and a much stronger, structured relationship between the Palestinian Authority and the European Union. And rather than trying to work with all the issues around QMV, I think the conditionality in the clauses of the Israeli-EU agreement should be really worked on and to make sure they're being fulfilled and adhered to. But I see another track developing, and we've been pushing for this ourselves, Belgium and others. Let us have a stronger, structured relationship between the Palestinian Authority and the European Union, almost to the same, well, to a level of a trade association agreement, and encompassing all of the aid and support that we give.